Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. NBA Wednesday, got 10 games on the schedule. Should be a good NBA night. We're having a cool week. Monday was a great night. I'm recording this it's just after 1 a.m. It's 117-114 Lakers. So as of right now, I'm 1-0, and my lean on the Grizzlies hit as well. So if the Raptors plus 4.5, if that covers, I'll be 2-0, 3-0 if you count the lean. So hopefully, by the time you're watching this, actually, by the time I'm editing this, I'll know. 2 minutes left. Hopefully I get Raptors plus 4.5. But regardless, it's been a great week. Let's keep it rolling. Let's go.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
First up, we got Spurs on the road in Detroit to play the Pistons. Pistons are catching 3.5 points at home here, but I'm already seeing 4s pop up, so don't be surprised if by the time you're watching this, this line's at 4. Total sitting at 239.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got Pistons winning outright here. Final score 121-117 Detroit. Injuries on the Spurs side, just one. Zach Collins has been ruled out. Other than that, Spurs are good to go. On the Detroit side, they're still missing the same two pieces that they've been missing for a couple games. Well, just one game, actually. Isaiah Stewart has been ruled out, and Cade Cunningham ruled out as well. So I know a lot of people have been betting the Pistons recently. I mean, they are 6-5 against the spread in their last 11. And I know a lot of people are going to look at this and think, wow, the Spurs laying 3.5, 4 points on the road. How do we not take Detroit here? But I think we should point out that the Spurs have been playing pretty well on the road. In their last 4 games, yeah, they're just 1-3 straight up. But they've been in every single game. I mean, the 3 losses were by 2 points, 8 points, 6 points. Spurs have been playing pretty tough on the road. To be honest, I spent about 20-25 minutes searching for angles on this game, and I couldn't find anything. I will say the Spurs' weakest spot on defense is the perimeter. Pistons don't have much of an outside shooting presence, so I guess that's a positive angle for the Spurs because Detroit can't really exploit what the Spurs are weak at defending. But I'm leaning San Antonio here. A lot of people are going to bet the Pistons. They're going to see the Spurs laying points on the road and bet Detroit. I'd lean the other way here, and I wouldn't be surprised if I end up betting San Antonio in this one. I'll let you know the final decision on the live show, but I'm leaning San Antonio minus 3.5 next game. Minnesota on the road in Boston. Celtics are laying 6 points at home. Actually, I'm seeing 6.5 now. It was at 6 about an hour ago, so it looks like this line has already moved to Boston minus 6.5. Total sitting at 223.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. And according to the model, we got a 119-110 Boston Celtic victory. Let's talk injuries. And as of right now, nobody is listed on the injury report for the Timberwolves. They are in a back-to-back, so when you're in that situation, don't be surprised if a name pops up closer to tip-off. But as of right now, everyone active for Minnesota. That is not the case on the Boston side. There's a few question marks here for the Celtics. Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford all listed as questionable for this one. All right, so obviously the first thing that jumps out at us here is Minnesota just played a game last night in Orlando. We had Minnesota minus 5, cashed it, was nice. But they immediately have to fly all the way up to Boston, Orlando to Boston. That's a solid flight. To play a rested Boston Celtics team. Rudy Gobert played 34 minutes. Karl Anthony Towns played 34 minutes. I mean, at first glance, it's a terrible spot for Minnesota. I also hate this matchup for Minnesota offensively. The Celtics defense has been strong down low in the interior all season. Minnesota's been attacking the rim a lot recently. 34% shot frequency at the basket in the last 10 games. That's first in the NBA. That's Orlando Magic territory. The Boston defense has been exploitable to above the break threes. Minnesota doesn't take a ton of them, and when they do, they aren't very effective from out there. So after looking at this game for a couple minutes, I was leaning pretty heavily towards the Celtics, but as I kept looking, I kept getting pushed back towards the other side. For starters, if you flip it over to the other side of the ball, Minnesota's defense matches up really well against Boston. The Celtics have no presence from the mid-range. I mean, this is the same thing last year. The Celtics either shoot the three-point shot or they attack the rim. There's no middle ground for the Celtics offense. That's how you beat the Minnesota defense. They're very strong down low, and they're very strong on the perimeter. So that's a perfect matchup for Minnesota. And then you add on the fact that the Celtics immediately fly out to Milwaukee tomorrow night. Milwaukee, one of the biggest games of the season for the Celtics, is tomorrow. That's probably why Porzingis and Drew Holiday have been mysteriously added on as questionable. I wouldn't even be surprised if they rest these guys. Thursday night, TNT, national TV against the Bucks, 1 seed versus 2 seed. It's one of the biggest games of the season for the Celtics tomorrow night. So I know at first glance, this looks like a hammer spot for the Celtics, and obviously people are hitting it because the line has already moved to 6.5, but I'm leaning the other way. I like Minnesota on the back-to-back here. I'm probably going to take the 6.5. I also like the under 223.5. So give me Minnesota plus the points and the under. Waiting on some injury updates before I make final decisions. Let you know on the live show next game. Wizards on the road in Indiana to play the Pacers. Indiana laying 7.5 points at home, and the total sitting at 252. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we're looking at 128-116 Pacers win. Injury-wise, we got nothing for the Washington Wizards. Washington is completely healthy as of right now. On the Indiana side, though, big injury. Tyrese Halliburton has been ruled out for this game. As far as betting this game, I don't have a ton of interest in it. I'm definitely leaning Washington. I took the Wizards plus 11 or plus 11.5, I think it was. The other night against the Kings, they paid out for me. The Wizards have been a sneaky, decent team to bet on the road, and plus 6.5 against a Pacers team without their best player. So, I mean, I may end up on Washington plus 7.5. I'll say Washington or pass for now. Next game. Kings are on the road in Charlotte. Hornets are catching 7 points at home. That number's already been bet up from 6.5. So another game that already has some line movement. Total sitting at 235. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we're looking at a close Kings win, 115-111 Sacramento. No injuries listed for Sacramento at this time, but this is another team that's on a back-to-back. They just played a game in Detroit. So maybe we'll see something pop up in the morning, but as of right now, all the Kings are active. On the Charlotte Hornets side, though, not so much. They are really banged up here. LaMelo Ball is close to returning. He was listed as doubtful. He was downgraded to out. So he will not be returning for this game, but he's returning soon. Gordon Hayward is still out. Mark Williams is still out. PJ Washington listed as doubtful. And Cody Martin is listed as questionable as well. So Hornets are in pretty bad shape. As far as betting this game, this is a tough one here because you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here. On one side, you got the Kings in a revenge spot, right? The Hornets just came into Sacramento, beat the Kings outright. They were 15-point underdogs. They embarrassed the Kings on their home floor. So it's a nice little revenge spot for the Kings there, right? So obviously a quick glance tells us we should definitely bet the Kings, but then you take into consideration that the Kings are on a back-to-back, and on the season, Sacramento is 0-5 against the spread on the second leg of back-to-backs. They've been terrible in this spot this year. So you got to pick one or the other. You got to take the Kings to get their revenge, or you got to ride the trend 0-5 against the spread on back-to-back. Something's got to give here. And then you look at the Hornets' last 5 games at home, and it makes it even tougher. I mean, this team has been competitive at home. Yeah, they're 0-5, but look at their opponents and look at the scores. 2-point loss to Miami, 5-point loss to the Pelicans. They did get blown out by the Sixers in there, but they were on a back-to-back that night. 7-point loss to the Nuggets, and they just took the Bulls to overtime. This Hornets team at home, even with all the injuries, they haven't been nearly as bad as you think. In fact, they've been pretty competitive. All that being said, I personally decided to roll the dice with the Kings. When all the 7s started popping up, I grabbed one of the 6.5, so I'm in on the Kings at 6.5. I'm not crazy about the idea of laying 6.5 points on the road with a Kings team that really hasn't looked that good recently, but Charlotte, man, I know they've kept some games close recently, but this is not a good basketball team, and they're so hurt. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they just get blown out. So I'm on the Kings here at 6.5. Don't absolutely love it, but let's go Kings. Next game. Sixers on the road in Atlanta here. Hawks are laying 2.5 points at home here, and the total sitting at 244.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet and check this out. According to the model, we got the Hawks winning outright. Well, outright, they're favorites. 119-116 in favor of the Hawks. So actually, the model has it right on point with the line. That just shows you how much Philly's been struggling recently. I mean, the Sixers have lost 3 of their last 4. The Jazz, the Knicks, and the Bulls. Those are the 3 losses Philly took. Injury-wise, no Joel Embiid for Philadelphia. Embiid's out. Robert Covington also ruled out. Tobias Harris is back from injury, though, so that's nice. That's a positive for Philly that they get Toby back. And DeAnthony Melton is listed as questionable as well. He missed last game against Utah. But before we go and blindly fade Philadelphia, the Hawks are also really banged up. DeAndre Hunter's still out. Garrison Matthews has been ruled out. Clint Capella is questionable. So is Wesley Matthews. Trae Young's on the injury report as well, but he's listed as probable, so I assume he's going to play. As far as betting this game, I mean, we're talking about the Hawks at home. Blind fade, right? I mean, the Hawks on the season are 2-12 against the spread at home. That's a minus 72.64% ROI. You'd be down 11.15 units just betting the Hawks at home this year. They are dead last in the NBA in all of these categories. I bet the Hawks at home one time this season, and it actually won that bet. It was against Oklahoma City kind of recently, but that's only because it was an absolutely terrible spot for OKC. I'm not betting the Hawks at home. You got to be crazy. I know betting the Sixers on the road without Embiid doesn't sound great, but you know what? Philly's 2-2 in their last 4 without Embiid on the lineup. Also, I mean, with all the injuries to the Hawks, especially if Clint Capella sits, I think Philly's going to be the move here. So I haven't actually bet this one yet, but I'm pretty positive I'm going to end up on Philly here. So give me Sixers plus 2.5 next game. Oklahoma City on the road in Miami. The Heat are now catching 4.5 points at home, which is up from 4. So another line that's already seen some movement. Total sitting at 234.5. Injury-wise, Oklahoma City, nothing. No injuries on the report for Oklahoma City. On the Heat side, we're definitely missing some pieces, though. Jimmy Butler and Caleb Martin most likely not returning for Miami in this one. Kyle Lowry also most likely sending this game out. So the first thing that jumps out at me here is we got a great road team against a bad home team. I mean, that's probably the first thing you saw as well. Oklahoma City 9-6-1 against the spread on the road this season. 6th most profitable road team in the NBA this season. And that dates back to last year as well. They were a great road team in the 2022-2023 season as well. So Oklahoma City, been a reliable team to bet on the road. And then Miami at home, 6-10 against the spread this year, the 23rd most profitable team in the NBA. And this also dates back to last season. Miami was not a reliable team to bet at home last year, in the regular season at least. So you got a great road team against a bad home team. Now, full disclosure, I don't love the fact that Oklahoma City has a back-to-back. They fly home to play Portland immediately after this game. But they're 1-2 on this road trip, and you know Oklahoma City wants to finish this road trip 2-2. They do not want to travel back home going 1-3 on this road trip. And let's be honest, it's a home game against Portland. I don't think they're really stressing it too hard. So yeah, I'm on Oklahoma City here. Hopefully I can get a 4. I didn't bet this one yet. I'll be betting it as soon as I'm done recording. Hopefully I can grab a 4. I still see a couple 4s out there I'm looking at right now. So OKC -4 next game. Actually, there is no next game. I'm out of time. But we're going live at 4 p.m. and we'll go through all the games. It's me, Prop Diva, and FTB. So it'll be 3 of us, and we'll go through all 10 games. If you're able to make it at 4 p.m. Eastern time, would love to see you in the comments. NBA Wednesday, we're having a nice week so far. Let's keep that rolling. Remember to bet responsibly, and I will talk to you in the Discord.